Good afternoon, race fans. Welcome here to Lowell Super Speedway in Lowell, Indiana, as we get set for what will be a fun race here today. This is race number 12 of the PCSRA Foster Series powered by the WRA. Getting ready for 100 laps of racing here at this daunting racetrack. This track is kind of like Auto Club in Michigan, but with a resurfaced track, banking that is a lot steeper than those two tracks combined, and also steeper than Daytona Talladega that we normally go to on the schedule. Bryce Egan had to qualify his way in, got in via Gorgon qualifying. He starts on the pole after setting the fastest lap time here today. He is making his, as I'm trying to go back to the points here, he is making, so I'm looking for Egan right now. He is making his fifth start on the season. He's alongside Adina Almas. Now, Adina Almas comes to this race 29th in points. That's the good news since she's in the top 30 in the points and her win would count for a spot in the playoffs. The problem is she's only 9 points ahead of the cut line as far as 30th in the standings is going. So a poor finish for her. She will drop out of the top 30 in points, and her win from Dover a few weeks ago will not count for a spot in the playoffs. So she needs to keep that mindful. Excuse me there. Keep that mindful so that way she can, as far as this race is concerned. So she needs to make sure to get a good result here today, get herself back in the top, keep herself in the top 30 in points, rather. Jesse Art, Riley Andersen, or Jesse Ard, and Riley Andersen rode 2. Jesse jumped up 5 spots to 22nd in the points, and Riley Andersen gained 4 spots up to 19th in points. So these two ladies need to start getting some wins right now. This lady needs to stay in the top 30 in points, and this guy needs to make sure he has a good day today. Even if he were to go to victory lane, it would not, however, be enough for him, referring to Bryce Egan, to make it in the top 30 to get a win, count for a spot in the playoffs. You'll look at the rest of the lineup. Evelyn Gray making her debut in this series. There's a look at the rest of the results. Pri McShane starting in 40th, comes in this race 1 point back of the cut line of 30th in the standings. She also needs a good run to get back in the top 30 in the points to have her win count for a playoff berth. As the field is rolling off, here are your points coming into today's race. Alina Ricci took the points lead last week at Pocono, 6-point advantage over Lucy Grainger. Paul Minnick is 11 back, third in the standings after dropping a spot after Pocono. Troy Kane jumped 2 spots up to 4th in the standings. Mohammed Zain is 5th, 51 back. Then Summit Ozkan, Quentin Moore, who gained 7 spots up to 7th in the standings. He went to victory lane last week. Alex Hawkins, Sean Ard, and Eric Stanbury complete the top 10. Right now we have 7 winners inside the top 30 in the points. Kyle Langland is the lowest of those in the top 30. He is 24th in the points. He is only a total of 23 points ahead of the 30th in the standings cut line. So Kyle is also another driver who needs a good run to stay away from 30th in the standings. And as of now, with the 21 outside the top 30 in points, Minnick, Kang, Ozkan, Hawkins, Sean Ard, Stanbury, Andersen, and Carolina Bradley would get in on points. Green flag is in the air. Let's go racing at Lowell, boys and girls, for 100 laps. This is where I get a little concerned about the racing we're going to see here today. That back straightaway going to play a factor. Of course, parts of it is really bumpy that upsets the race cars. And it is a hot, slick racetrack. As Egan will lead the first lap of the race. Look at them. Look at that. Almost like IndyCar speeds going through the corners. You'll see part of the back straightaway right there, that little bump there. Have a good feeling that's going to really upset these race cars. Sean right now in second. He's under attack by Ebrahimian. Like I said, this is almost like a super speedway, but as you see, parts as some of those cars did the bunny hop, it's where the bumps really upset these cars, which could make it a challenge if we end up having a 4 or 5 wide scenario, if you know what I mean. Let's take a ride on board Alex Hawkins, see what is it like on the hood cam. Apologies for the blurriness. Watch this bump right here. Quentin Moore, last week's winner, to the race lead. Even though we've never raced on this track in a long time, these drivers are probably asked this guy, Jacob Tutu. He is the only Foster. Oh, we got a wreck. I'll go ahead and finish what I was going to say. Jacob Tutu is the only driver in this series that has raced here before at this track, but the yellow is out. Gitirokh, Alina Ritchie, the points leader, Evelyn Gray, Cody Majork, Troy Kang, Riley Anderson, Jessica Parker, Adina Olmos, Jesse Ard involved. The yellow is out. Make sure these drivers slow down under the yellow flag. Oh, Hawkins just turned Chase Brooks around. Oh, boy. Got some drivers coming to pit road, which makes it a little interesting because these drivers can't make it 100 laps on a tank of fuel. And if you pit now, you can make it on one more stop. But the yellow is out for the first time today. Let's jump back and look at a replay to see what happened as the big one happens in the early stages here at Lowell. Let's see where this incident gets started. I think it starts with... You can see as they are going down the back straightaway how bumpy this racetrack is. I got no clue where it starts. Oh, it starts with Emily Andersen. Or no. Oh, it started right. Okay, it was starting with the 50. Or actually, it started ahead of the 50. Okay, this is where it started. It's like the 41 just never gave any room to the Spire drivers and took them all into the wall. Poor Evelyn Gray, nowhere for her to go as she's making her debut in the series. The points leader, or the 34, did a good job. Carolina Bradley got some damage. There's the 50 up into the wall. And that's the rookie and overall points leader involved. And the gal that was trying to run her down for the rookie and overall points lead got through, Lucy Granger. So that's not good for the 41 team, but that is what brought out the yellow. But what happened with Alex Hawkins as he was coming to take the yellow? I think this was a case of not sure what this was all about. I think they were trying to sort themselves, and yeah, I don't know how to explain that. Pri McShane got involved. Hawkins did a bunny hop. Zachary Fitzwater got tipped into the wall by Sam Davis. Don't know how bad the damage is on the 88. Probably one of those racing deals, trying to hang on, and then the track got so bumpy it upset it the 47's car, and that's why Chase Brooks spun. So, but no harm, no foul. But that's what brought out the caution for the first time today. Let's head to the restart here at Lowell. Lights out on the pace car. We're going to go back to green on lap number 10 of 100. Drivers out from this first instance. Surprisingly, only 2 have done so. Evelyn Gray, tough break for her in her debut, and Alina Ricci will lose the points lead and the rookie points lead, finishing in dead last. Bryce Egan leads, his teammate Scarlett Wallace second, Betty Johnson is third, Jacob Tutu in fourth, Bria McShane in fifth, sixth is Anthony Rickey, seventh is Vanko Seaman, eighth William Davis, ninth CJ Bracken, and 10th is Emily Andersen. And that is the 5th start of the year for the 50. And the first with Evelyn Gray, because remember, Annie Thomas is not here at Lowell. She's over in Colorado for the race weekend with the TM Master Cup commitments. So we won't see Annie Thomas until we come back from the All-Star break. Green flag back in the air here at Lowell Super Speedway. At least Sean got some carnage out of that. I'll give him the benefit. Benny Johnson, the one of 2 Aussie drivers in the field. Of course, Zachary Fitzwater being the other. Fitzwater currently running in the 27th position. Don't think the damage is really bad on his machine. And another thing you saw when Fitzwater, or not Fitzwater, excuse me, when Hawkins went down off the banking, I wonder if there's some damage to the valence when he was trying to drive back up the racetrack. Of course, this track is hot and slick. These cars are slip sliding around like crazy. It's like 70 degrees, which is nice weather here at this track. I can tell you we're guaranteed a point shakeup after today's race with some drivers that, with the points leader now out of the race. Let's find out where the 34 is running. Running in 31st, but we're in the early stages of the event. I think Lucy came to pit road under that yellow. So those drivers that just made their first stops of the day, they can go the rest of the way on one more stop. Those that did not pit under that yellow, they're going to have to pit at some stage in this race. Because the fuel window is roughly 45 to 50 laps. Because this is a track that's, like I said, this track is similar to Auto Club and Michigan. The only catch is it's a resurfaced. This track has been resurfaced and the sun's been beaming down on this pavement, and it's also starting to wear out. So grip may not be good once it starts aging, the pavement that is. That means cars are going to be handling pretty bad. So that's why the track is really slick. Track temperature is like around 111 degrees, 120, right around 110, 120. So with a slick racetrack like it is, and this track is wide enough to go 4 wide. The problem is the bumps on the back straightaway that's upsetting these race cars is really what contribute to that first caution of the day. As we're looking at S Ard in the 99. Of course, his sister got involved in the wreck, so Sean's already gotten the ha to Jesse. And we already got drivers off the pace due to the fact they were involved in that first yellow and also the incident under the yellow flag. Jacob Foster there. Sean is 9th in points. Jacob Foster comes in this race 11th in points. He dropped 6 spots out of the top 10 after a bad finish last week at Pocono. There's Chase Brooks, Riley Andersen. They were involved in a wreck. Adina Almas, Jesse Ard, and Troy Kang back here at the rear of the field. Daniel Gitirokh. I thought somebody... Oh, caution! Caution is out. Oh, we've had another wreck. Oh, Desiree Voiles, Vaco Seaman, Kyle Langland, Grace Takayama, Anthony Ricci, CJ Bracken involved. Daniel Witter, S Ard got spun. Priya McShane, caution is out for the second time today. Well, we've had more carnage. And I did say this track is going to be a wreck fest. Looks like the leaders that didn't come to pit road, they're all coming in. They got to get down to 55. There we go. Is everybody coming in, including those that just made their first stops? Yep. So the cautions out are second of the day. Riley Andersen, not a smart decision to come into pit road before the leaders. She'll more than likely go a lap down. Let's jump back, look at a replay to find out what caused this second yellow of the race. Well, this is what brought out the yellow. Contact between Daniel Witter and Vanko Seaman precipitate this. Look at the 37 go in the air like that. Holy bejeeber nuggets. How did Priya get through that? Wow. Kyle Langland in the inside wall. Anthony Ricci involved. I think this is when they're going to start coming back up the racetrack. Oh, the 62 did. Then Sean gets involved in an incident over here. Where's the 99? Yeah, Sean's going to get involved. Wow. What was that all about? Priya McShane just came up and just took out Sean. Took him all into the wall. Collected. Wow, Carolina Bradley did a good job not hitting Senor Sean. But the 45 just came up and abruptly got in and also collected Emmanuel Hartnett. But Priya came up and just sideswiped the Freeway Insurance Chevrolet. I don't think Sean got a whole lot of damage, but the cautions out are second of the day. Let's head to the restart here at Lowell. Got some drivers up here at the front of the field that are on the tail end lead lap because they pitted and barely got out in front of the pace cars. We're going to go back to green on lap number 23 of 100. Quentin Moore, the leader. Matty Crenshaw, second. Bryce Egan, third. Jacob Foster, fourth. Emily Anderson, fifth. Sixth is Mohammed Zain. Seventh is Scarlett Wallace. Paul Minnick, eighth. Ninth is Samad Ozkan, and Betty Johnson complete the top 10. Surprisingly, Daniel Witter out of the race. 39 drivers on the track, 36 all on the lead lap. But with all those cars off the pace with damage, this could be ugly. Daniel Witter's had a season to forget. 33rd in the points, really did not need a poor finish. Grace Takayama apparently had an issue, is why she's a lap down. We're back to green here at Lowell. And look at what the leaders have got to do. Got to get around all of these lap cars that are off the pace, and that's going to be a cluster of a mess. And looks like Quentin Moore has escaped. Matty Crenshaw is trying to get through. I have a feeling all of those lap cars are going to cause an incident. Somebody was on the apron there for a second. Oh, that was Jacob Tutu. I think he was trying to get through the lap cars, if you ask me. No harm, no foul. As Quentin Moore is our race leader. And the caution's out. And I figure Troy Kang's in it. Dina Almas, Chase Brook. I figured lap traffic had something to do with this. Bryce Egan, our pole sitter, involved. Rena McShane, Cody Majork, Jesse Ard. Well, Jesse's finally finished. And our third caution of the race is out. And we're gonna jump back as I'm going to do that real quickly. Let's jump back, look at a replay to see what happens. We're already a fourth of the way through the race and already our third yellow of this event. Let's see what we can try to dissect here. I figured lap traffic was going to cause this. Right there, contact between Cody Majork and that was Bryce Egan. Unfortunately, collected Ponzo Albanese. And I figured lap traffic was going to be a problem right there. As what the heck is the 45? Did that weird little bunny hop and goes upside down. Holy cow, that was a wild ride. Because of the transition from the banking. Look at that. I've never seen a bunny hop like that. Unfortunately, that's going to take Arena McShane out of this race. But goodness me. That was a lot of drivers involved. And our third caution of the race is out. Just like that. We're going to head to the restarts. We have a lot of drivers out of this race here at Lowell. Going to go back to green on lap number 29 of 100. Still in the early stages. We haven't even gotten to the midway point of this race. Quentin Moore is still the leader. Matty Crenshaw is now still in second. Third is William Davis. Fourth, Zachary Fitzwater. Fifth is Lucy Grainger, who's second in points and in the Rookie of the Year standings. Let me take a drink real quick. There we go. Daniel Gitirokh, 6th. 7th, Emily Andersen, Jacob Tutu. 8th, Priya McShane. 9th, and Sam Davis will complete your top 10. Drivers out from this incident: Troy Kang, Arena McShane, Cody Majork, Jesse Ard, Ponzo Albanese, Adina Almas, and Chase Brooks out of the race. That will take Almas out of the top 30 in the points. And our win will not count for a spot in the playoffs. And then they join Daniel Wooder, Evelyn Gray, and Alina Ricci, who are all back behind the wall and out of the race. So that will mean we're going to have another driver who does not have a win. That would be in the playoff grid once the 10 drops out of the top 30 in points. The other thing you got to consider as we're back to green is the 21 of Priya McShane, who's running in 9th. And remember, she comes in this race 1 point back of 30th in the standings. A good run for Priya will get her back in the top 30 in the points. As Quinton Moore nearly got into William Davis, I think the bumps on this track is really affecting the handling of these cars. I'm just going to part into my server. Matty Crenshaw leads that lap. William Davis now the race leader. On lap number, about to complete 30 laps of this race. William Davis will get a lap led. William came in this race 4 points below the playoff cut line. And he is 17th in points. Also with Kyle Langland's poor finish, we'll have to see if this will drop him out of the top 30 in the points. And we can officially confirm Chase Brooks is going to be no doubt must-win situation if that 18 can't get it together between now and then. So, because I don't think you can point your way into the playoffs. I think you're going to have to start winning races. And I think Venko Seaman's also going to be in a must-win situation. Oh, and hi, Reggie, as we're on lap number 33 of this 100-lap race. Now the big question is, these drivers already made their pit stop of several laps ago. They are going to have to pit again before this race is over, because as I said, these drivers excuse me. Apologies about the yucky stuff that I had in my system. I just recovered from allergies as I'm recording this race, so I hope y'all are okay with that. But as I was getting ready to say before that, these drivers pitted about 10 laps ago. I do not think they're going to make it the rest of the way on fuel, which says to me this is going to be a two-stop race, which I'm not really that surprised, to be honest with you, this being a two-stop race. Especially the fact that, we've had 3 cautions. We already have, 30 drivers on track, 32 on track, 26 on the lead lap. Senor Sean, the last on the lead lap, as Paul Minnick goes to the race lead. Paul Minnick is also another driver who's trying to run down Elena Ricci for the points lead, and since Ricci is already out of the race, Elena Ricci, that is. Or Reese, yeah. Scarlett Wallace to the race lead. Scarlett Wallace is now the only Rickware racing car still that has not been involved in a wreck, since Bryce Egan was involved in that most recent yellow. And right now, we're only 37 laps complete. Or soon to be 37 complete. Quinton Moore, a second win for him, would solidify a spot in the playoffs. That's Baby CJ. Oh, Q-Man just split Baby CJ and Desiree Voiles, who's making her first start of the season. I mean, just split him like he was a star of a bad racing movie, and that really held up a number of drivers in the process. Now we're starting to get some lead changes. Remember, Scarlett Wallace was involved in a scary wreck last week at Pocono. As we are 38 laps complete, working on lap 39. We're getting closer to the midway point of this race. Sean, what is Sean doing? Oh, he holds up William Davis. That's going to allow Jessica Parker, our Daytona 5. Oh, my God! Summit Ozkan just got... Oh, my God! Lucy Granger, CJ Bracken. Oh, my God! Priya McShane's involved. I've never seen that in my life. Carolina Bradley. Jacob Tutu's involved. Yellow is out. I've never seen that in my life. Quentin Moore. That made my heart stop. Granger second in points. That is an automatic red flag for sure. Holy shit. Caution's out. Leaders are going to make pit stops. Let's jump back and look at a replay. Violent wreck we've just had here at Lowell. I don't know about you all, but this is a nominee for the hardest wreck of the year. Red flag is officially out. There's a lot of damage to the catch fence that they're going to have to get fixing, but I know the Hedgehog crew will get that fixed. See, they were trying to come up to lap Senor Sean. Sean trying to get out of the way. And Sean just completely, oh my God, just sent the Shell Pennzoil Dodge into the catch fence. What on earth was that all about? And then right there, Priya McShane just hits the 21 car as he was teleporting to pit road. Desiree Voiles gets a piece of it. Oh my God, somebody was out of the track. That's Quentin Moore. That's almost something I saw in another NR league that I was a part of, where a car went flipping out into the field. There, Sean gets involved. Jacob Tutu nowhere to go. This is the problem with this track is that, look at this. Quentin Moore gets turned upside down from the banking. And upside down goes the Delaware Wife Chevrolet. Look at that. Side over side, end over end. Almost a reminiscence what happened in one of the NR series I was in back in the day. And oh my God, there might be some debris that went into the catch fence in the inside off of turn number 2. Oh my God. Hope Q-Man's okay. That was a violent wreck. The good news is Sean wrecked the field. The bad news is Sean wrecked the leaders. Right there in the wall. My God, I hope Summit Ozkan's all right. That was a nasty accident. That's a shame for Jacob Tutu. Carolina Bradley, nowhere for her to go. Got into Sean. I have never seen in my life, as I've been doing this series, a car get stuck in the fence and also a car going into the flip over this retaining wall and possibly might have injured some fans over there, which I hope some fans are okay. Good grief. That's too bad for Carolina Bradley. She was having a very good run, and sadly, she's going to be out of this race. Was 2 points above the cut line. Sean was 9th in points. Alex Hawkins 8th. Summit was 6th. Quentin Moore 7th. Troy King was 4th in standings. A lot of drivers who came in running very well in the points did not need something like this to happen to them. And Lowell Superspeedway has played its part in a point shakeup. And we're definitely going to have a point shakeup before we head into next week's race. As the red flag has been lifted, the yellow is out. We're going to head to the restart. at Lowell Super Speedway. Well, I don't know if y'all want to see like a big wreck, but good grief, we've had a big wreck as we're on lap number 44 of 100, about to approach the midway point of this race. Eric Stanbury is the leader. Paul Minnick is now second. Third, Jessica Parker. Fourth is Emily Andersen. Fifth, Dylan Ebrahimian. Sixth, Sam Davis. Seventh, Betty Johnson. Eighth, Alex Hawkins. Ninth, Maddie Crenshaw. And 10th is Sean Ard. I forgot to check and see what happened to Lucy Grainger, why she was involved. And it looks like, I believe she has gone back behind the wall, if I'm not mistaken. That was another replay I forgot to show you. Yeah, she is out of the race. Let's find out what happened with her. Oh, same thing we saw. Okay, so this brought out the yellow. The other wreck was the follow-up wreck. It just looks to me like CJ Bracken was not paying any attention. And Lucy just got tired of it, unfortunately took herself into the wall, and unfortunately collected Daniel Gitirokh in the process. So apparently we got tempers flaring, or in the words of Sean and Cody, beef. So that would be why Lucy Grainger is out of the race. My goodness. That's all three of the Penske cars now out of the race. Also out Quinton Moore, Priya McShane. I don't know where 28th is going to be for her, because remember, she was 1 point back of 30th in the standings. I don't know if that will be enough to get her in the top 30 in points. Lucy Grainger, second in points. Sean Ard, Desiree Voiles, CJ Bracken out of the race. And the rest of these drivers also out of the race. Almost half the field is left in this race. 19 of them on the lead lap, soon to be 18. Oh, one more little nugget. We're not even halfway through this race, by the way. Green flag back in the air. Good grief. I will definitely be sending photos and posting it in other servers. That was a violent wreck. Bryce Egan a lap down. So now you can say 18 cars on the lead lap. Remember, Bryce Egan was involved in one of our cautions. I had lowered the AI so that way we wouldn't have these types of situations. Unfortunately, I was completely wrong. I really do hope all those drivers involved are okay. Quentin did climb out of the car. That is good. That's good news there. I heard a child got hit from the debris of the 71. Of course, Quentin Moore helped that child. He and that child right now currently in the infill care center. A lot of cars are going to fail to finish this race. I have no clue who's going to be the points leader leaving today. Because let's see. The points leader's out. Second in points is out. Fourth in points is out. Possibly Mohammed Zain. We'll have to see. Depends on the finishing results. Samad Ozkan is out. Quentin Moore is out. Let's see. Is there anybody else I'm forgetting? Alex Hawkins running in 12th. Senor Sean is out. Boy, that top 10 is going to be really shaken up after today's race. I can guarantee you that. And for Kyle Langland, we're going to have to see where 23rd is going to situate him. The good news for him, though, a lot of drivers around him in points all out of the race. It's like Jacob didn't get a lot of damage, but apparently he did. That's too bad for the Monster Energy champ. Because remember, he was the only driver out of this 42 car field that has raced at this track. You know, other than some of the drivers in the Monster Energy series, but that's another story to tell. Good run for Betty Johnson for Tricon Garage in the 56. Jessica Parker, Paul Minnick. If Minnick wins, he could possibly take the points lead, by the way, take advantage of. Oh, Jacob Foster and Jessica Parker got together, but thankfully they saved us. We're halfway through this race. That could have been bad. Thankfully, it wasn't. I think these drivers just need to settle down. Good grief. They did get Summit Oskin's car off the catch fence or off the wall. And they also got the debris off of it. As there's Matty Crenshaw in the 23. My goodness. I don't know what's crazier, this race or me being a part of the Double X series that I love. Oh, there goes Fitzy. There goes Fitzy. He saved it. Okay, we're good. Think Betty Johnson didn't mean to get in the Fitzy there. They saved it. We keep it going. That's William Davis. They're about to lap. That's Sam's brother. Okay, let's make sure we get through. Oh, Matty Crenshaw. That was close. That was really close there. Betty Johnson to the race lead. This is a good day for some drivers that have not been to victory lane to get a win today. Sam Davis to the race lead. Of course, Sam Davis now lives in Lubbock, Texas, home of Texas Tech. That's Kyle Langland. Moves out of the way of his teammates. Jessica Parker now to the race lead. If Jessica goes to victory lane unofficially, we would have our second two-time winner. Or actually, let me look. I think it would be our first repeat winner, if I'm correct. Yes, it would. But I'm going to put the little asterisk of unofficial. Maddie Crenshaw in the 23. Maddie Crenshaw came as race that critical 30th in the standings. Would need if she wins and she's inside the top 30, well, let's see what the gap is between herself and 30th in the standings. Next week, we have one more race in the first half of the regular season. That will be in Michigan, but we're not going to Michigan International Speedway just yet. We're going to a short track in Michigan, in Huron, Michigan. That's where we're heading next week. And then we're heading to Coca-Cola for the All-Star Race weekend. Although I have not decided if the drivers that we ran the Foster Series when it was on the Next Gen cars, not sure if I will invite them or not. That's a we will have to wait and see ordeal. If Jessica Parker wins, since she's already locked in the All-Star race due to her win at the Daytona 500, she would already be confirmed into the playoffs, providing she remains in the top 30 in the points. Betty Johnson, the 56, not running for the championship in this series. She will be running for the championship in the Monster Energy Series return. Oh, there goes Jacob Foster. Around goes Jacob Foster. I knew that was going to happen. Oh, and hit Sam Davis. Caution is out. Dylan Ebrahimian involved. These leaders did not take the caution, so we are racing back. First incident we've had on the front straightaway. That's a caution worthy, and the yellow is now out on lap number 62 of this race. Boy, the garage area is filled with a lot of torn up race cars. I bet you everybody's going to come down the pit road. I would not even dare these drivers staying out. Good run, by the way, for Jackie Tang in the 43. But while these drivers are making pit stops, let's jump back, look at a replay to see what happened to Jacob Foster and Sam Davis as we're in the later stages here at Lowell Superspeedway. Well, you figured this kind of racing and a nice green flag run that we had was going to come to an end. I don't know if Jacob came down or Sam came up, whatever the case. And again, it's the apron that tips over, this time Jacob Foster, except he does it on the front straightaway. Digs into the grass, does some barrel rolls. Ebrahimian gets involved, and he's going to land on the hood on the HendrickCars.com Chevrolet of Sam Davis. Thankfully, it landed on his wheels, thankfully. And thankfully, Jacob did climb out of the car along with Sam Davis. They're both okay. Kind of one of those racing deals, if you ask me. So the yellow is out again. Let's hope we can finish this race under the green as we're going to head to the restart here at Lowell Superspeedway. Going to go back to green here on lap number 65. Looks like Jacob Tutu's on the tail and lead lap, along with William Davis. Maddie Crenshaw is the leader. Jessica Parker is second. Third is Emily Andersen. Fourth, Jackie Tang. Fifth, Betty Johnson. Sixth, Mohammed Zain. Seventh, Zachary Fitzwater, Paul Minnick, Alex Hawkins, and Anthony Ricci completes top 10. Ricci was involved in our first caution of the event. That seems like a long time ago, if you ask me. Sam Davis, Jacob Foster out of the race. Half of the field, as things stand, has failed to finish. Just like what we had a few weeks ago back at Gateway, where half the field failed to finish. That one was on like a 1.25 mile racetrack. This is a 2-mile super speedway. That's the only difference you can make out of this. As we are back to green, Jacob Tutu, I don't know how the hell he survived this race. Of course, Jacob Tutu in the Monster Energy Series will be going into that season as the defending series champion. Let's tell you what we got coming up this week, today being April the 8th. What we got coming up on my deal, of course, when this premiere is going on, you're getting OKC Comets baseball, by the way. We have a triple header weekend starting tomorrow. Betty Johnson is going to be joining me on the flight. We're going to be heading to Charlotte. We just came off All-Star Race Weekend for the Winston Cup drivers at Daytona. Now we're going to begin the second half of the season, which is a shorter second half. And I was going to also mention this to Jacob Foster as Scarlett Wallace takes the lead. Jacob Foster, if he makes the... I'll go ahead and mention this now. Carlos Rodriguez and Michael Brown have been ejected. Yes, ejected from their rides respectively. And Nathan Orman was also ejected from his ride, which I'll talk more about that on the Charlotte race weekend when we cross that bridge. So no word on who will be in the 33 and 46 trucks respectively. But I have been told if Jacob Foster does fail to qualify in that 28, he will be one of the drivers that would replace either Carlos Rodriguez or Michael Brown. But let's remind you on this, if it happens after qualifying, then Jacob Foster will go to the rear of the field due to a driver change. And it will count for a start, by the way. So whether Jacob Foster makes the Charlotte race or not in trucks, he is more than likely going to be in the Charlotte race, which if that is indeed the case. That's if he makes the race. If he doesn't, then you know it's going to happen at some point, as Paul Minnick is leading this race. This copyrighted broadcast is presented by the authority of the World Racing Association, the Blue Hedgehog TV, for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction or rebroadcast or retransmit or any other disseminations or the use of this broadcast without the express written consent of the World Racing Association is prohibited. Blue Hedgehog TV, the World Racing Association, want to thank you fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast. As we're looking at Betty Johnson, she drives the number 43 Aussie Shampoo Dodge in the Winston Cup Series. That's the car she's running for the remainder of the season. That is her custom. Betty Johnson also drives the number 83 Foster's and Aussie Toyota in the Monster Energy Series. There are no signups for the Monster Energy Series because it's custom cars. B, it's a global series with drivers from all over the world, which one of them is going to be attempting to qualify later this season at a road course. You won't find that person out until that time comes around. And should mention Jacob Tutu's Canadian friend, Betty Barrett, when we start the Monster Energy Series as William Davis gets held up. When we start the new Monster Energy season, Betty Barrett is on probation. And I know somebody in the comment section or in the premiere, which is this video, is probably saying, "Wait a minute, how can you be on probation at the beginning of the season?" Well, let's go back to the Monster Energy Series finale back in 2023. Betty Barrett was being an annoying backmarker. This was, by the way, at Toronto, just an FYI. Jessica Parker nearly lost control of her Ally Chevrolet. Funny thing is, I'm talking about a Monster Energy story, and the Monster Energy car is leading. That's ironic, as we're 3/4 of the way through this race. But back to the Betty Barrett situation. Why was she on probation? She took out Jacob Tutu, her team owner, Lauren Ekstrom, who, by the way, has been recovering from her pregnancy, which is giving birth to her child, in other words, as a appropriate deal, which want to send our wishes to Lauren Ekstrom. We hope she's feeling a lot better, but she will not, however, take part in the Winston Cup Series as Kyle Langland chops off Jessica Parker. That's not going to be a fun team meeting at Hendrick Motorsports for that. I can tell you that for certainty. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Betty Barrett turned Jacob Tutu and Lauren Ekstrom while they were fighting for the championship. This was, by the way, the championship race. I like to point that out for the Monster Energy Series. And that earned Betty Barrett a trip to the big green truck, the Monster Energy Series hauler. And after the race concluded, when she got out of the car and she was getting ready to go to the hauler, guess who attacks? Guess who gets in her face? Lauren Ekstrom. Which the officials and I bet you the rest of the drivers had to get involved and break up Ekstrom and Barrett's conflict, which also earned it Lauren Ekstrom a trip to the big green truck for a discussion with Mr. Watson. Which did not go well. And I was like, I bet you that's going to be a fun team meeting at Australian Motorsports when that was all said and done. And while that was going on, their teammate Jacob Tutu, and of course Ebonia Mirmoez, who we will see Ebonia Mirmoez next week, as she'll be another driver that will attempt to qualify for the Foster Series when we head to I and that number, the number between 60 and 70. she was she was like the only representative there because Lauren Ekstrom was dealing with Betty Barrett. E Ebrahimian R was just like, well, I'm gonna go celebrate with Jacob Tutu. That's ironic. Which I bet you there were fines and whatever came out of that ordeal from Mr. Watson. Lauren Ekstrom did apologize to Jacob Tutu when they got back to the shop. So, on one side, Lauren Ekstrom's like, I feel bad I didn't get to celebrate with Jacob Tutu on winning the championship. That's on one side. On the other side, somebody had to go to the principal's office for that discussion. So that's why Betty Barrett will be starting the season on probation for the new Monster Energy season, and why Jacob Tutu, Elijah Gordon's favorite driver, is going to be starting the season as the defending Monster Energy Series champion, which marks the first time a Canadian driver, after how many years of trying. So this is kind of a funny thing, as right now the leaders are trying to get around all these lap cars down the 15 to go. This is the ironic part. So a hockey team cannot win the Stanley Cup, but Jacob Tutu finds a way to win a championship for Canada. Now tell me how screwed up that is. But in all seriousness, for Jacob, think about the career, as I say hi to Mopar in the VC there. But back to what I was saying, the ironic part of Jacob Tutu has now won more championships than all of the NHL hockey teams combined in the last how many years that's been. Because Canada has not won a Stanley Cup in a long time. And the only team in Canada that has won a championship was the Toronto Raptors back in 2019. Since, yes, Jacob Tutu has to be a Raptors fan with Hannah Blue Jay. And yes, Jacob Tutu lost that bet to Hannah Blue Jay. I don't think Jacob really minds about that, to be quite honest with you. As you see, Betty Johnson, the 56. Oh, somebody's on the apron. Oh, no, Jessica Parker's got a problem. That's going to take her out of contention for this win. There's Paul Minnick. Betty Johnson having a great run as a go or go homer. Oh, careful, careful. Betty Johnson saw Minnick. She's like, oh, no, I don't want to cause a wreck. Good idea. Also, Betty Johnson back in 2023 had a season to forget. Never found victory lane, never was competitive. And it was a shame because Betty Johnson in 2015, when Annie Thomas won the championship, Betty Johnson was one of the four drivers that made it into the Final Four to compete for the championship at Bathurst, but got taken out because of a lap car not getting the hell out of the way, which is not surprising. And I know when she did the interview in front of the Aussie fans, she apologized, referring to Betty Johnson here. She apologized, felt like she let everyone down, and all of the Australian fans all forgive Betty Johnson. But, Betty Johnson does support Annie Thomas. Of course, like I said, Annie Thomas not racing this weekend or going to be not racing next weekend or the All-Star race because of her commitments in the Farklow Dollar Series, as well as I've said this 1,000 times and I'll say it again, running for the Independence Trophy in the Master Cup Series. That's why she's not running the full Foster schedule due to those commitments. And, here's another funny thing. Being with her countryman, Zachary Fitzwater, who's also running a limited schedule for the Master Cup Series as a, by the way deal. So at least we have some Australians in the field. So course, Annie Thomas running for my team in the Master Cup Series. Of course, Annie Thomas failed to qualify for the Rockford 200, which was really sad. That was the weekend I was also attempting 5 races, including the Rockford 200. I mean, who cannot go against the fact of racing in Loves Park, Illinois, if you know what I mean? As we're down to 6 about to be nearing 6 to go here. Paul Minnick is looking like he's more than likely going to take the points lead after this race. Update on Jessica Parker. She is out of the race. A suspension problem has sadly taken her out of the race, and we're down to 20 drivers, 11 on the lead lap. Well, as I was just talking about, as Eric Stanbury almost wrecked Emmanuel Hartnett. And of course, Hartnett, by the way, was off of probation in 2016. Remember, he and Travis Crampton got involved in an incident, and this is the insulting part, happened on one of my live streams when I was doing PCSRA races back in the day. And Travis got himself a suspension on top of that. So Hartnett got put on probation. Travis Crampton got suspended because Travis Crampton was already on probation. How ironic was that? Jeez. As Maddie Crenshaw now leads. Also, we talked about Betty Johnson, a Monster Energy driver. Maddie Crenshaw is also a Monster Energy driver. However, her offseason has been anything but spectacular. Of course, going to be driving for Ricky Cervantes' team after Indiana Motorsports abruptly released her and seized operations. Which, by the way, Maddie Crenshaw and Monica Towns, who won the Buffalo Wild Wings Series title back in 23, filed a lawsuit against Zachary Taylor, which they won, they being Monica Towns and Maddie Crenshaw. So they have moved over to Ricky Cervantes' team. They're probably going to be in the Buffalo Wild Wings Series for the time being, as we're down to 3 laps to go. It's between Minnick, Crenshaw, and Betty Johnson. We will be seeing Maddie's younger sister, Annie Crenshaw, this weekend. Maddie Crenshaw and Betty Johnson will be heading to Charlotte as we get ready for the Coke 600 weekend. That will start tomorrow night. As we're getting closer to the end of that second season of Trucks, Busch, and Cup. 2 to go here at Lowell Super Speedway. That is a lot of DNFs. 22 of the 42 starters failed to finish this race. Well, I talked about this in Pole Day qualifying yesterday. This is going to be a wild card race. Well, this race just played a major part in the point shakeout. White flags in the air. 1 more lap to go. Sponsored by Credit One Bank. Right now, I have no clue who's going to be the rookie points leader. I know Paul Minnick's going to more than likely take the points lead heading into next week at Iron, that number in Huron, Michigan. But Paul Minnick in the number 38 comes off turn number 4, and Paul Minnick will win the inaugural chaotic race at Lowell Super Speedway. And unofficially, we don't know if this is confirmed, has Paul Minnick locked himself a spot into this season's chase for the championship. Paul Minnick ran last season in the Foster Series. That was with the Gen 6 cars. Never found victory lane. Never was consistent. Missed the playoffs. This season, he might be in the playoffs this time around in the Foster Series. Of Great run for Betty Johnson and Maddie Crenshaw. I wonder if these two are going to have good momentum when we go to the 600 weekend tomorrow night at Charlotte. As they finish second and third. Well-needed run for Maddie Crenshaw. Came in this race at critical 30th in the standings. Scarlett Wallace, well-needed run for her. She has had a terrible few races of late. She will come home in fourth. Well-needed run for a driver really struggling in the points. And remember, Rickware Racing made the playoffs last season via win with Eric Stanbury. Made in the playoffs, got eliminated, and I don't know what round they got eliminated in, but a well-needed run for Scarlett Wallace, who comes in this race 34th in the points, really needs to turn something around. Emily Andersen will be the highest of the rookies, finishing in 5th. Came in this race 12th in points, and a lot of drivers ahead of her who had troubles today. She'll be inside the top 10 in the points. Great run for Jackie Tang in 6th. Jackie Tang, another driver who also made the 2015 playoffs in the Foster Series, sadly got eliminated in the round of 8. He comes home in 6th. Jackie Tang came into this race 32nd in points. Yeah, he's another driver that's been struggling in the points. Zachary Fitzwater will get 7th. He was 14th in the points. Good run for him. Good run for Alex Hawkins. Here's the ironic part. 6th, 7th, and 8th. Three drivers that were part of the 2015 playoffs that got that were in the Elite 8 all finished 6th, 7th, and 8th. I find that very ironic. But a great run for Alex Hawkins in the 47. He was 8th in points. He'll definitely stay in the top 10 in the points. Anthony Ricky finishes in 9th. Good run for him. And Mohammed Zain will get 10th. With a lot of drivers ahead of him in points that had troubles today, I think Mohammed Zain will more than likely take the rookie points lead heading into next week's race in Huron, Michigan, with a 10th place finish. Oh, he was the last driver to finish the race on the lead lap. Look at all these drivers a lap down. Emmanuel Hartnett, Dylan Ebrahimian, Venko Seaman. That's a well-needed run for Seaman. Jacob Tutu. I don't want to say that was a bad finish, but considering he had damage and finished 14th, hey, that's still a good day. But I know he wanted a top 10 result since he has raced at this track before. Eric Stanbury came on 15th. The rest of the drivers that finished the race was Grace Takayama, Bryce Egan, Riley Anderson, William Davis, and Kyle Langland. We'll have to see where 20th is going to situate Kyle Langland because, as I stated before, he came into this race 24th in the points. He was a total of 23 points above the 30th in the standings cut line. So we're going to have to see where 20th is going to situate Kyle Langland as far as that is concerned. And excuse me there. Apologies about that. Everybody else, as you look on down to the remainder of the finishing results, did not even make it to the end of the race. They all finished out of the race. Jessica Parker was running inside the top 10 before suspension problems sadly took her out. She was the only driver that had a mechanical problem. Everybody else was due to those big wrecks that we had. And I can tell you this track just made Talladega a run for its money because all of these DNFs, this is going to really affect the points going into next week's race in Huron, Michigan. And a lot of tough breaks there. Desiree Voiles, my little sister, didn't have a good result, 31st in her debut, in her first start in quite some time. I bet she's probably very disappointed in that as far as that's concerned. Alina Ricky was the points leader coming in this race, out of the race. Lucy Granger, second in points, out of the race. That's the top 2 in the Rookie of the Year standings, out of the race. Boy, Lowell Super Speedway provided a good finish, but a lot of these DNFs and drivers that are out of the race, boy, what is it going to have on the points? You're going to find that out down in the description below as a result of this chaotic race we just had here at Lowell Super Speedway. But we want to congratulate Paul Minnick on his first win on the season And as Paul Minnick locked himself a spot into the playoffs, you'll find that out the same time you do. Thank you all for joining me for this wreck fest of a race at Lowell. If you enjoyed it, sure to give this video a like, subscribe to become part of the World Racing Association crew today. Excuse me there. Showing your full finisher results. Your point standings are down in the description as a result of this wreck fest. And last chance for a driver that has not won to get themselves locked in the All-Star race. As next week we will head to Michigan. Qualifying will be at, note the time here, 9 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. Next Wednesday at 7, we will go short track racing at I and that number on the end. I think you all know which number I'm talking about as far as that is concerned. Now for our studio engineer, the YouTuber, I'm Dean DeVos. Thank you for joining me and saying goodbye and good night from Lowell, Indiana. Coming up next, we'll rejoin the Infinity Network Sports Studios programming already in progress, followed by OKC Comets Baseball. We will talk to you next week in Michigan. You've been watching the PCSRA Foster Series on the World Racing Association's Multimedia Network.